How can we make the world better? By making ourselves better. The Dr. Joe Show explores how you can make positive personal change by using his groundbreaking and highly effective I Am approach to understand who we are and why we do what we do. Your small changes can have big effects.
Join us now for the Dr. Joe Show with Mark Stiles of Stiles Law and your host, Dr. Joe Schrand.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dr. Joe Show.
Oh, very nice. It's so nice to be here tonight.
It is nice, isn't it?
It's lovely, Mark. It's lovely. And then Bernipotent there in the booth. Hello, Ben. And we got
howdy,
Thomas
howdy.
right here.
And did you know
Yes.
that Thomas just dropped episode number 10?
Oh, what is episode 10?
Last week's show.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Yeah, Christopher
What did we do?
Sarson.
Oh, it was? Really? We put it right up there?
Right up.
Oh, that's
It's
fantastic.
up there, jumped everything. It was that important for you, you know?
It really is. And that guy, the stuff that he's done, we barely scratched the surface of what Christopher Sarson has done in terms of influencing people. But he's just such a genuine human being. And he just wants to do the right thing for people.
Yeah,
and
you could see it too.
Can't you?
Yeah, very authentic guy.
And it was lovely afterwards. We tell them, because we do some karaoke afterwards.
What?
We do, it's true. And Christopher was so nervous. You couldn't tell.
A guy that's won 3 Emmy Awards.
3 Emmy Awards, nationally.
And he was afraid to
prominent.
go on stage with 4 people watching.
That's right. But he did, and he sang, I don't know whether we can ever find it, Ben, in there, but he sang Rubber Ducky.
That's right.
Now, when is the last time you've heard Rubber Ducky, but certainly in karaoke, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed
he
it.
He was a fun guy.
He's a terrific fellow. So, Christopher, you're out there, thanks so much. And all the Zoom kids out there, too, who were listening, I really appreciate it. And then what was lovely was that on Saturday, we had a few kids over. So Tom came over and Donna came over. Donna Moore is someone we probably want to have on the show as well. Tom has been in studio. Donna had an off-Broadway show about cougar. So she had written a musical, a one-woman show.
It was called Cougar?
It was about cougars, yeah. Isn't that great?
Yes.
And
Tell me about it.
It is terrific. So we actually will be finding a time to have Donna come on.
A one-person show.
Yes.
Called Cougars.
I have to remember the exact name of it, but we can look it up. Look up Donna Moore, Cougar, and maybe, I don't know, there may be even some tracks that we could listen to. But she is a remarkable talent, and one of the wonderful symmetries about Donna is not only was she a Zoom kid, but the very first play of the week happened to be Riddles by Donna Moore. She had sent it in as a Zoom fan, and we picked it and we performed it. And that actually, I know, folks, when we did last week's show, some people had asked what was my favorite moment in Zoom, and I did post it. One of the moments was in Riddles by Donna Moore, where John and I are doing a scene, and we have to stand up and approach each other. And as he stands up, a coin fell out of his pocket and rolled around on the ground. And if you listen very carefully, you can hear it. You can hear the sort of rolling. And I don't know what it was, but I just started cracking up. I mean, we're taping, so it's a tape show, and I couldn't stop giggling. And he couldn't stop giggling. So we started giggling, and Christopher cut the scene. We tried to compose ourselves, eventually got back to doing it. We never could look at each other again during the scene.
Yep.
And that became an outtake, one of the first ever outtakes. So Christopher was brilliant in his editing. He kept that in with us giggling and cracking up. And you hear this beep, and then the scene starts over. And if you look carefully, you can see that the two of us cannot make eye contact for the rest of the scene. So that was one of my favorite Zoom moments for those who may be interested. And you can see that I actually posted the link in the threads, in the comment thread. You can see, because another group, I think it's the Do a Zoom Do tribute So that Facebook site actually found it and posted it, and I
fun.
just give them some credit for it because they had found it.
Doing good
it's
work.
right up there, so you can see Riddles by Don. Now that was where I did my Alistair Cook imitation. Alistair Cook was, the person who introduced Masterpiece Theatre back then, and he also had a British accent because he was British. So.
Oh, that makes sense.
Doesn't it? I know. And you know what's interesting? People thought that I was faking that accent. I didn't realize that for years. I wasn't faking it. I had just come over from England. So I had a very, very strong British accent at that time.
So it worked for you.
It did. It did. It worked quite well. Still does. I think you can hear it every now and then in certain words. So that was a wonderful show. And
Speaking
I'm so
of
glad that it's
Facebook.
podcasting. Yes.
We're on Facebook.
Hello, Facebook.
Live.
Live.
So those listening on WATD can actually go on Facebook and comment,
Yes.
such as Martha Cheshire did.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Do you know Martha Cheshire
do.
from Farmington, Connecticut?
Yes.
She says hello.
Hello, Martha.
And she quotes Rubber Ducky, "You're the one."
You're the one, Rubber Ducky.
So let's talk about the
you're
topic that we told Facebook we're going to be talking about.
What's that?
Happiness. How to be happier.
Yes.
And we're bringing on an author to talk about it a little bit more.
We are.
Lisa Shumate.
Lisa Shumate. No, not
Shumate.
It's
Shumate.
spelled, you could pronounce it Shumate, but that would be wrong.
And
And that might not
I've
make
been
her
wrong
very,
before.
Might not make her very happy.
Yeah.
It's Lisa Shumate. And, Shumate.
from Houston, Texas.
From Houston, Texas. She's going
Head of the Houston University of Houston school
She's
systems,
got
right?
quite a remarkable resume. We can just talk about that for a moment.
But her book is called Always and Never,
Always and Never.
20 Truths for a Happy Heart.
Isn't that lovely?
And there's a companion journal that goes along with it.
And the companion journal is just that. So it's a book that is asking you to really write your thoughts down. Because, there's a difference between speaking and writing, obviously. But when you write, you really have to be more thoughtful.
It's actually a fun book. The main book has just quick little tidbits to help you through it. Truth number 5, always do as you say you will.
Yep.
Never undermine the trust others place in you by not keeping your word.
And this is so exactly what we've been talking about for so long. Respect
with the I am?
Yes, with the I am. Respect.
What is the I am?
I'm so glad you asked. That actually makes me quite happy.
Good. Well, happiness is the key to happiness.
Happiness.
Just checking if you're paying attention.
Happiness is the key to happiness.
Yeah,
Mark,
it's true.
It's deep.
It's about as deep as a puddle. So for the listeners, though, who are tuning in for the first time, right, or for those who have listened a bunch and are just not certain what the I am is.
Right. So the I am is the idea that we are always doing the best we can. It is my current maximum potential. This is who I am. And unfortunately, in our world, so many people put themselves down or think they're not doing the best they can and that they should be doing better. And think about, what really happens to you when you have that thought process and that approach. But the I am is saying, let's rethink this. We are survival animals. We are machines designed to survive, these remarkable, remarkable human beings. And my belief is that we are always adapting to our environment. We might not always get it right, but we're always doing the best we can. And that is your I am. And the I am is influenced by 4 domains. Your home domain. I don't think anyone's going to argue that your home has had an influence on who you are. In my field in psychiatry, we look at that a lot in people. We look at how their past is influencing their choices right now in the present. So your home domain. The social domain, which is everything other than your home. It's us being here at ATD. It may be you driving in your car as you're listening right now. It's being at work, being at school. It's, going bowling. It's doing everything outside the home domain. So those 2 domains are outside. The 2 internal domains, your biological domain of your brain and body. Am I hungry? Am I tired? Am I digesting my lunch? And then what I call the I see domain. How do I see myself, but how do I think other people see me? And really think about that. We are all really interested in what other people think or feel. We call that empathy. We wonder, how's that person feeling? But honestly, folks, we really want to know, what are you thinking about me?
Right.
We are always interested, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. And sometimes it's completely unconscious. Sometimes we're not even aware of it. But we are assessing how we think other people see us. From a shrinky, technical point of view, that biological ability of our brain is something that has evolved over millions of years, and it has a terrible, clunky name, theory of mind. We can't see someone's mind, so we have to guess and theorize. What are they thinking or feeling? What are they thinking about me? So the I am is saying that we are responding all the time to these 4 domains the best we can. My current maximum potential, doing the best I can at this moment with the potential to change. It doesn't mean you have to like your I am. It doesn't mean you have to condone it and say it's okay. It's not a free ride, because you're going to be held responsible no matter if it's your best or not. You're still going to be held responsible.
Right.
And unfortunately, it doesn't even mean you're going to be successful. And for me, success is when you love going to work and you love going home. And I just think about that from your own lives. Isn't that success?
Absolutely.
I mean, what more is there? You love going to work and love going home. That's the root of happiness.
Yep.
And I believe that the reason people love going to work or love going home is because they feel valued there. And that's what we really want. So the I am is saying, instead of judging ourselves and others as less than or broken, let's look again at why we do what we do. And if you really think about those words, look again, look, again, like to repeat something, look like a spectator, the I am is saying, let's respect why we do what we do. When's the last time you got angry at someone treating you with respect?
I don't think that's possible.
It is not possible.
That's right.
You are absolutely right. And you know why that is? Because anger is an emotion designed to change things.
Right.
And I wrote about that in a book of mine called Outsmarting Anger, which I'm very honored to say won the 2013 Books for a Better Life Award for the best psychology book of 2013, because it's this really fascinating concept, this idea, when's the last time you got angry at someone treating you with respect? And when you really think about that, that means that respect becomes this critical tool that we have as human beings in how we can influence other people. Because it is respect that leads to value. And that's what everybody wants. Think about every person you met in your life. They want the same thing, just to feel valued by someone else.
Right.
And what's cool is that at every and any moment in time, you can remind someone of their value by treating them with respect. And when you remind someone of their value, you increase your own value. People want to be around people who make them feel valuable.
Yeah.
They want you to be part of your group. I want you in my group because you make me feel good.
Yeah.
And then, from a very deep biological point of view, we feel safer as human beings because we are social animals. It was very important for us to be part of a group. So respect is what leads to value. Value leads to trust. And trust is the antidote to fear and anger and sadness.
Right.
And that's why we feel safer when we trust someone, because we know that they're not going to judge us and potentially kick us out of our protective group. So the I am, I really believe it. And I believe that you can live your life like this so easily. It's not that hard to do. And the cool thing about the I am is because the 4 domains, the home, social, biological, and I see, how I see myself, how I think other people see me, because they interact, a small change in any domain can have a big effect. You don't need to change everything.
Right.
Small changes can have a ripple effect through the whole system. And one of the challenges that we ask people to do on the Dr. Joe Show, and you can certainly write in, is what small change do you want to make?
Yep.
What small change can you make in any one of the domains and begin anticipating how will that influence the other domains? It may be, I tell you, for me, one of the small changes was about a year ago when my wife, Carol, reminded me that my daughter, Sophie, and my other kids had given me a book, The I Diet, by Susan Roberts. So I started reading it. small change. And now, once a month, I think I make the announcement. This month, 206.
Good for you, buddy.
Right? I was like 270 something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And that small change influenced my IC domain. Right? So I made a small change in biological domain. I just read this woman's book, and we were fortunate enough to have her on the show. So it's a great, great book. It's not restrictive. It doesn't hurt you. For me, it tapped right into the whole interest in biology and who we are as survival machines. So that small change influenced my IC domain. I feel better about myself. Because I feel better about myself, it actually affects the way I am at work. Because I love going to work. I've always loved going to work, I must admit. But now my patients are going, hey, are you losing weight?
Yeah.
Which is fascinating. They say, how'd that happen? Because a lot of them need to lose weight too. So, Dr. Roberts, hope you don't mind, but I continue to endorse your book. I think it's a wonderful thing. So that affected my home domain. How? Because my kids are so happy because they think, well, their dad's going to be around a little bit longer.
Yeah. That's nice.
And I know that while I'm going to be around longer, I hope our sponsors are also going to be around longer, because I've gone a little bit over and into our break. So I do apologize to our sponsors, but that was my I am. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
All right, who wants to learn how to be happier? We've got an author that is going to teach us some strategies and techniques on becoming happier on a daily basis. Happy. I'm so happy. So let's introduce our guest, Dr. Joe.
Welcome, Lisa Shumate. It is delightful having you here, author of Always and Never. And this is the companion. But is this the companion?
No, this is
that's
the companion journal.
The companion journal, which lets you write. So here it is. I wanted to show it to our Facebook folks. It is fantastic. And I tell you, it may be one of the most influential quick reads I've ever done.
It's like the chicken soup for the soul,
it's like
flipping through. And
So welcome.
Be a higher compliment than that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
That's immediately what it reminded me of, is just flipping through and getting these nuggets of happiness. Right?
Yeah. So tell us a bit about the book and how did you come up with the concept, and let's just go from there.
Well, I've always been in media, and I've always loved to write. And I have two children. My husband and I have been married 36 years. And there comes that time where the kids are ready to go off on their own. And you start thinking, have I told them everything they need to know? What kind of positive encouragement can I give them? So I started to write down 7 truths to your future. And at the time, I was relatively new as a manager, and it tended to be very work-focused. And so I'd pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down. And then I decided, you know what? This generation of kids now, because now my children are older, really see their lives all together. They don't see work life and home life. And I thought to really reach them, I had to talk about the whole person. So then I really just went to words that are universally important to everyone. Truth, trust, love, forgiveness. And then I thought about the always and the never for each one of those words. I don't know why we have been reluctant to use words like always and never, but to me, those set up the guardrails for the highest, possible life and happiness, because they give you control. If you know what you're always going to do and what you're never going to do around these things, you're going to set a high standard. You're going to keep reaching for that standard. You're going to see how much control and that the way you react to things you have. And I believe that equals happiness. So that's how it came about.
And there's no gray area with always and never. It's not sometimes and oftentimes. It's always and never.
I just don't think there's joy in gray.
Yeah.
I think that joy is when you're full in committed, and when you can just be, when you can just say, no, that isn't going to make me upset. And also, what I find in our world today, we're very data, right, in business. But data, when you think about yourself, are you going to let data, meaning I didn't make a good grade, meaning my marriage didn't work out, meaning I got fired from a job, are you going to let that data inform your future? Are you going to say, okay, I still see big things for me. I'm going to keep getting up every day to make that happen. And that's another thing I feel like, the encouragement, the fact that you have control, that there's so many positive things in life. I felt like we had to come back to that. And that is an internal journey.
Yeah, I like that a lot. One of the things we talk about in the I Am is you control no one, you influence everyone. But it is saying that you are absolutely, the person in charge of your journey.
Yeah.
You can be influenced by other people, but they're not going to control you any more than you can control other people. And you get to choose the kind of influence you want to be. And that's what I really liked about the book, is because it is really promoting such a wonderfully positive, humane, interactive influence. I mean, it really is.
Thank you. And you know what else I believe? So the happy heart is really, and joy are not just about you. But when you are in that state of being happy and in control of your life, you really have the capacity to lift up others. Now, just think about that for a minute. If more people were in a position to not only feel happiness, control, contentment about their life, but that they were able, because of that, help others.
And
I think that's the kind of thing we all want to strive for.
And I think that it is easy to do. It really is, and it's something we strive for to do on a regular basis. And I wish we didn't have to strive, that it was just natural. And I think part of it is natural, because one of the other things we talk about with the I Am is because everybody wants to feel valuable. And think about it. Think about every person you met in your life. The common thread among all of them is they just want to feel valued by somebody else. And what's cool is that at every and any moment in time, you can remind someone of their value.
That's right.
And whenever you remind someone of their value, you increase your own value.
That's right.
And everyone wants to feel valuable. So I think I would love people to do that always. That's an always.
And just the idea that you see other people. I think a lot of people go through life feeling invisible.
So true.
And because maybe they have some setbacks or what have you, that they feel just the rest of the world's in great shape and they're alone. So that's another thing that I'm hoping this book will help with, and especially the journal, that you can start with, okay, well, what do I have going on in my life? And I don't need to think about my life in the way this person defines me. Who am I listening to? What am I watching? What am I reading? In the journal, one of the exercises at the back of the book is to put together a Spotify playlist of songs that make you happy. There's also a link to a Saturday Night Live skit where people are taking crying breaks and listening to Adele music. Of course, it's an exaggeration of the idea. But you really can, just things like that can help put you in a better place to face the day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's contagious.
It sure is. It is contagious. And happiness can be contagious.
Right.
And I mean,
both ways.
We are, unfortunately, at a time where we really need a book like this.
Yeah.
And isn't there something sort of sad about that? That we have to guide people on how to be happy? What do you think about that?
Well, I hate to kind of make a generalization about that, because I'm inspired by a lot of young people I meet. But, we know that research has backed up that the judgment center of the brain is the last to develop, right into your 25. I mean, I don't think it's an accident that car insurance goes down at 26, because statistically you're having less car accidents because your judgment is better,
that's right? And not to bring something, but my wife would say that actually mine is still developing. Sorry,
There's probably a lot
sweetheart.
of wives that say that about judgments with love. you know. Well,
That's right. It makes me happy. But you're absolutely right. The prefrontal cortex is among the last parts of the brain to develop. Go ahead. Yeah.
So if you are going that first time you're out on your own and you're between, whether it's right after high school or right after college, and you're not even 25, you're doing a lot at a time where you've gotten maybe that degree, maybe you have the job, maybe you have a roommate, but the rest of the stuff you're still navigating on your own. Mm-hmm. So I think there's always been a need for some just basic go internal now. And what's different, I think, about now is it's so reactive. We're reacting constantly because there's so much information coming at us from all channels. Whereas when I was growing up, you know, there weren't so many choices in media. I didn't have a phone showing me what everybody else was getting to do and what I wasn't doing. And that isolation piece, that wasn't there. We went to places to be with each other. You couldn't do it electronically. So you combine that, the reactive nature set up, and you can see where we do need to encourage everyone to take that internal journey about knowing who they are. When you know who you are ready to have a challenge and see that you're resilient. And I say things like confidence are not built when things are going right. Confidence is what comes after something's gone wrong and you've figured out how to get past it.
Yep.
So I think the other thing that I observe, and of course I work on the campus of the University of Houston and run a public media station and have a lot of young employees, is they struggle with two things. One is boundaries, because there's 24-hour access, right, with the phone. So we have to help them set up boundaries, which these truths do. And then the other is feedback. You know, there's been a lot of things out there about, oh, this generation needs to be, you know, rewarded for everything. I don't think that's true. What I think is think about it, they were born after the year 2000. 1995 sounds, it might as well be, 1900 to them. So 2000 and on, they have grown up in a very different time, and they just really want to know that it's going to be okay. They need feedback for reassurance and because they want to know they're on the right track, not because they're praise junkies. I really disagree with that idea. Can I share with you one more thing as it relates to the importance of feedback and reassurance and guidance?
Yeah. Yes. That was feedback. So that was feedback for you.
Y'all just let me go on and on here. I get so excited about this.
I'm delighted. Go ahead.
There was a story actually on NPR the other day, and children, I'm talking about much younger than 20, having big anxiety issues, can't sleep.
Yeah.
They're anxious. They don't want to be left alone. So the parents went to a psychologist and talked through all this. And of course, the parents' instinct for a 10-year-old is to say, well, I'll stay with you till you fall asleep, right? You want to nurture, you want to love, especially if you're a working parent, probably have guilt, and so you lay with them till they fall asleep. And whoever they were working with said, no, what you need to do is you need to go in there and you say, look, I'm going to be right outside this room. You're going to lay down for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, I'm going to come in and check on you. You're going to be fine. I know you can do this. And so they did. And then over a period of time, the child was sleeping several hours at a time. So what was interesting to me is when they talked to the parents, the parents had a big awakening and like, wow, we were the ones that needed to be trained. The child said, yeah, I felt anxious, but I kept hearing my mom say, you can do it.
Right.
You can do it. Well, that to me was just very eye-opening. Yes, a 20-year-old needs to hear, you're doing fine. It's okay if you make a mistake. The world is not going to end. You will get up and you will learn from it and you will move on.
I could not agree more. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I show folks is this wonderful cartoon, Rose is Rose. And in this Rose is Rose, like a newspaper cartoon, and there's this little boy playing baseball with his dad, but he is terrible. The kid can't hit it, he can't catch it, he can't throw it. But his dad says to him, you were amazing out there. And that little boy walks away smiling. And what the father is saying is, he's not lying to the kid saying you're great at baseball, because the kid isn't. But this kid is trying, and he's making mistakes, and he's getting up and he's trying again. And that is what we want in our kids, because that is resilience. That is an ability to really say, you know what? I am who I am, and I may make mistakes, but I'm going to get up and I'm going to try it again.
Right.
And he wouldn't, the little boy, in my feeling, would not be able to do that if he didn't trust that his father saw him as valuable. And the example you're giving, and I heard that NPR story as well, I thought it was terrific, is what really is happening is we are conditioning our children to either be afraid or to feel confident. And the brain...
All do things you're only good at.
That's right. And right, exactly. And not take chances. My eldest daughter, Sophie, has a science comedy TV show that is really all about that. And her inspiration was Miss Frizzle, who was a cartoon. There were no... You know, if you think,
remember Miss Frizzle. Isn't that the Magic School Bus?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Make mistakes, get dirty. It's okay. You can make mistakes. And that's what Sophie has done. And actually, if you go to her Facebook page, she just posted a major mistake that she made. She was doing a comedy bit in New York, and it bombed. But she put it out there so people knew, hey, it's okay to make mistakes. It doesn't mean that you are a failure. As a matter of fact, it takes enormous courage to try something and potentially make a mistake.
Right.
And that's confidence.
And no doubt she learned so much from that, right?
Totally. Absolutely. And you know what I've learned is that I think I may have made a mistake too, and I've gone a little bit over. So I am not going to be that courageous and not get our sponsors on. So we'll...
Sponsors are important.
Exactly. So Facebook, folks, stay right there. WATD, we'll be right back.
You make it double, don't worry.
Who's with us?
Who's
Be
with us?
happy.
Better turn it
Don't worry, be happy.
Be happy.
So simple. So very
It is.
simple.
Don't
isn't
worry.
it? Be happy.
Be happy.
What's to worry about?
You know, one of the things.
Worry, regret,
It's-
anger, negativity.
right.
What's it there for?
It's so much more rewarding to wonder than to worry.
Yeah.
You know, wondering is
Yeah.
cool. Gee, I wonder why I did that, which is not the same thing as saying, why did I do that?
Right.
And we wonder.
We
and,
wonder.
and that's happy. So for me, the definition of success, and I assume success can translate to happy, is when you love going to work and love going home. I think it's that simple. You know, because if I love going to work and love going home, well, what else do I need?
Right.
That's happy. And that's one of the concerns is, you know, how can our kids just chill a bit, relax? There are some wonderful things. Maybe, let me ask you, what are your favorites? I mean, I don't mean to put you on the spot like that, because they're, you know, each one of the 20 is really profound. But are there some in particular that you think we should highlight?
Well, I think the first 5 are fundamental. And that is always be in charge of your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Always listen before speaking. Listening is such an underrated skill. We talk and wait to talk as opposed to really, really listening. Always follow the golden rule. I really believe in that. I believe in just being kind, but I do believe in the great karma out there, and put out goodness and it really will come back to you. Always tell the truth. The truth is hard. You really have to protect the truth. And it's not that anyone would really lie, but sometimes we repeat things and we don't know them to be true, or our mind makes up stories where there's not information, and then boom, that becomes a truth. And then the last one, the 5th, would be always do as you say what you're going to do, which gets at the heart of trust.
Right.
You don't have trust, you don't have anything.
Yeah.
And so you have to build trust by doing what you say you're going to do. And so I think those 5 are really fundamental.
And how have you been applying these in your own life, if you don't mind me getting kind of shrinky? Can't help it.
Not at all. I think I'm still working on number 1 because I think I spent way too many years worrying about what other people thought and said about me. Classic pleaser. And if I had taken a little bit of that and put more in control of what I thought about me, I think I would have been definitely happier. And if I'm happier, my children are going to see a better example. Both of my children, they're very different, but one of them definitely worries more than he needs to. And the other one doesn't, she's kind of got that one down. Just a little more carefree spirit, and definitely is naturally more happy because of that. I mean, my son is happy too, but I'm just saying that worry thing, that worrying about what other people think, that's something I'm still working.
So I just want to say to your son, don't worry about that. Okay. And
for starters,
and just be happy.
He's now a father, and he gets so much joy and happiness. There's nothing about like a 2-year-old to break you out of whatever you're worried about, and just keep them out of trouble, right?
So true.
but it's so simple.
Yeah.
Don't worry, be happy. So simple, but yet it's so challenging for so many people.
And why? Why is it so challenging?
Well, that's what we're here to talk about.
Well,
why?
Well, what do you think, Mark?
Well, I think some of it's the biological domain, right? Some of it's the biological domain, so the anxiety and some other, potential mental health issues that go along with it. But the IC domain, I think, has a huge component. I mean, you were just saying it yourself, Lisa. You were growing up concerned about what other people thought and pleasing other people, and that can be very taxing.
Yeah.
To the point where you're not concerned about yourself as much because you're so focused on what you're supposed to be,
and you're not defining yourself,
right? And your thoughts aren't your thoughts, right? They're this fictitious thoughts of what you're supposed to be doing, and you're in a constant battle of your thoughts, right? I want to think this way, but I'm worried that I might be perceived the wrong way.
And the I am is saying, okay, so that's your I am.
Right.
Right? But that doesn't mean you have to like it. But let's look at it. What are people so worried about? Why do you feel that you will be judged by others? What would it mean if they judge you? Because remember, if somebody else
who are
judges,
they?
That's their I am.
Right.
I had a kid just today who has been so bullied at school, so bullied that he really wanted to end his life. Felt he had no value. And he began to realize, again, using the I am tool, that, wow, if the best these people can do to feel valuable is to try to make me feel less valuable, what is going on with their I am?
Right.
What's happening in their home or social domain? What's happening in their biological domain? How do they see themselves? And that really helped this kid begin to shift from that limbic part of the brain, that emotional, irrational part, to start thinking, I'm actually okay. Remember there was that book, I'm Okay, You're Okay?
Yes.
Remember that book?
Yes.
Today, I actually wanted to write a book that went, I'm okay, you suck. Because, because that's what people think.
Yeah.
Right? So now I want to write a book called I'm Okay, I'm Okay? Yeah, you're okay. Go ahead, Lisa.
There's a little distortion, so sometimes a little delayed on when you stop talking, so I apologize if I interrupted you.
No. Go on.
The other thing that's helped me about worrying, and this as a parent, let's say, worrying about a child, is if I do that, I'm really not giving enough credit to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm really undervaluing their ability to cope and lead and be in charge of their lives. So that has helped me a lot, just switching that when I worry about the children. And then as far as it relates to worrying about the way people think anymore, when I start to go there, I realize what a complete waste of energy that is. And because it won't change anything. And most people are far too worried about themselves to even be noticing you. And so that has helped me definitely a lot. Mostly now, I think my worry borders on that courage thing. There's a lot of just being out there when you're promoting a book. And although I've been in media, it's not like it's a stranger to me. This is a piece of work that, you just don't know how well is it going to be received and what have you. So there's a little courage piece. And that's all the more reason why I want to do it and just push through that and be more brave and have the courage and be like your daughter and just say, I'm going to do this and learn.
Yeah. So having also done the book tour thing, I could not agree more. And I think let's just give Janet Appel a shout out right now. So Janet Appel, if you're listening, she was my publicist, she's your publicist, and she is tenacious. So this is a woman who goes out and promotes other people's books and says, I believe in your book, and I'm going to get you on radio shows and TV shows, and then it's up to you to make people believe. And how is that experience for you? It's fascinating, isn't it? What do you think?
Well, I think it's fascinating, and Janet has been so wonderful because she made me do my homework on kind of writing questions out and what would you say here? What would you answer here? And what has kept me very focused on this is the why. Why? I've been a mentor my whole life, not even really intending to be. When you think about it, a mentor is anybody that you know, helps you through the career path, or just somebody that you might see occasionally for advice, or maybe somebody you look up to. But I have mentored a lot of people. And now, since I've been in the work world and as a manager for so many years, it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done. And it's back to that thing, you know, David Brooks wrote a book, The Call to Character or something like that. And then the new one is The Second Mountain. And the first mountain's all about the resume, you know, the titles, the achievement, you know, what everybody does when they're trying to build their career. And the second mountain is about what you do for others.
Yep.
So I feel like that's where I am now. There's not really a title or anything like that that's going to make me feel the joy that I feel when I can sit across, and I have a couple of people I'm mentoring right now through a University of Houston program, and then just others that I've stayed in touch with my career. Nothing can give me the joy like when I sit across and we have a conversation and you can see a light goes on and they go, well, I am in control of that. Well, I can try that. And these young managers I'm talking to are going through that stage of, they were the doers, so now they have to transcend to be the person that oversees the doers. And a lot of them still feel like they need to do and control. And so it's just great to see them mature in those roles. And it's definitely what's giving me joy. So yes, the book and the byproduct of the book, and that is getting to mentor people.
That's great.
You know, I couldn't help myself but think my daughters may be listening to this. Why do we still use the word mentor and manager when we have all these women doing this? Shouldn't they be women tours and women managers? I mean, think about it.
I love it.
You know?
I love it.
Right?
That will be the next book.
Okay, really, because you know we have
Brilliant.
isolated. You know what? You're a mentor. You're a woman tour. It's great.
It's so funny how these words just become so thrown into the norm. I don't even think about that. Like mentor, I've never even broken the word down to mentor or manager. But it's interesting.
I'm sorry.
Really interesting.
I'm sorry. It's my free association.
So let's figure it out.
But really,
let's switch it up.
because
Very
look,
perceptive.
Yeah.
It's very perceptive, and there's so much of that embedded in our language.
Yes.
It takes a
Right.
very self-aware man to realize that, I must say.
well,
Which Dr. Joe is. His sidekick
Here
on
you
the
go,
other hand.
Dr. Joe.
yeah, thank you. But really, because we are living in this age where it's not about equality anymore. I don't think so. I think it's about people just realizing how amazing other people are.
Right.
You know, no one is really equal. We're all these remarkably creative people, and that, I believe, brings me happiness. I mean, you know, you get to work with people and help to influence their career paths. And this book, you know, I think is going to be helping so many people just be more reflective. Just wonder, who am I? Why do I do what I do? And here are some basic rules,
Rules.
Yeah, that you can follow.
Well, that's right, because, usually people, if you go to the opposite end of the spectrum where people kind of stop in their career and they're sort of topped out, it's not because of the work skill, the ability to do an Excel spreadsheet or the ability to do a P&L, business sheet. They top out because they're missing something in the social emotional category, and they can't lead because people won't follow them. And I'm not saying there's a fatal flaw, but there's a lack of awareness about their ability to either be trusted or follow the golden rule or listen.
Yeah.
That they won't listen, like their team tries to tell them something and they're not engaged and they don't listen. And so from that standpoint, this is, the whole person, and the whole person really is what gets you to your full potential.
Yes.
Not just your career skills.
Oh, absolutely. It's, and I think, the trust part, not only is it so critical, I believe, for other people to be consistent so you can be reliable and you can be trustworthy. But you have to be able to trust yourself. And for me, it's respect that leads to value, and value leads to trust. In my profession in psychiatry, with psychiatry and addiction, I think the reason why society has isolated these other folks and put them into disordered groups is because they worry they can't trust them, that they may be erratic, that their behaviors may not be what you expect. And while that may have some play in it, we miss the fact that these people are remarkable, that it's not them and us. Any of us can experience sadness, and some people, they get even more sad, they get depressed. Anybody can worry about things, but some people worry so much, we call it anxiety. Mm-hmm. And again, to come back to the book, there are so many wonderful pivot points in the book that can help someone just trust themselves. Here's some basic things. We all want the same thing. We want to feel valuable. And I think that, these always and nevers, they're universal. They really are. And that's what's so appealing about it. So, I really hope people can take this and absorb it, because they're wonderful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I do really believe that they are universal and they are reminders. And things like gratitude, and I'm sure you've seen in your research about how gratitude is a game changer. When you decide to really see all that you're grateful for, it keeps you from going overboard on worry and anxiety and depression. And of course, I realize there's clinical things and other brain chemistry things going on. But where that isn't the case, it is a decision to say, I'm going to see what's going right and I'm going to build on it. And I think one more point I want to make about what's important in the 20 for a young person is, because there's so much about celebrity, and we see competitions and voice competitions and things like that. You have a lot of people saying, hey, I want to be a YouTuber as a career. I'm not making any judgment about that. But what I do think is important is, okay, if you want to be a YouTuber, you can't get on and make one YouTube and think that you're going to be viral. And even if you are viral, 30 days later, somebody else is viral. So I believe that number 18, always anchor your dreams to achievement, is another thing that's important. That is what you get up and do every day. Forget this idea of being discovered. Get up and do the work and keep showing up. And it is persistence that wins the day. Ups and downs, stay focused, and your vision for you, it will change. But your vision for you and the good that it can be should be indestructible by anybody else, even the setbacks. And that becomes a reality through achievement and through the daily work. And so I think that's another really important one for someone that's starting out in their career.
So we've got about a minute or so left. The I Am has two principles. The first is small changes can have big effects. So I ask all our guests, what small change are you hoping to make that can have a big effect?
For me, personally, I really want to exercise a little bit more. And it's not just because of, obviously having better blood pressure and things like that, but because there is such a mind-body connection. I feel more at peace. I feel that sense of accomplishment. And so I'm trying to go from working out 1 to 2 times a week to going 3 to 4 times a week, even if it's a 30-minute walk.
Terrific.
You think that's a small change I can do?
Of course you can. And then
Does that sound like that's doable?
Absolutely. Of course it is. Of course it is. And it will have a big effect. And then the second, you control no one, you influence everyone. What kind of influence do you hope your book will be? And you, what kind of influence do you want to be?
I want to bring everyone greater peace and joy through the idea that they have a great deal of control in their lives, and that it is important that they set the standards for their life and their relationships. And because they do that, they'll experience really more peace of mind, and joy.
Terrific. How can we get your book? Real quick, give us the website, the links. How do we get it?
Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, and alwaysandneverbooks.com.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much for being on our show tonight. And folks, check it out. There are only 20 things you can do it.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Dr. Joe. This has been such a pleasure, and you've been so welcoming, and I greatly appreciate it.
All right. We'll be back. Thanks, Lisa.
Bye.
We'll be back next week. Bye, everybody. Bye, Facebook.
Stretch the